Hey friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today I am excited to share with you a brand new shrub that you may not be familiar with, especially if you are a fellow southern gardener. It is Weigela, and today we're going to be looking at Proven Winner's Sonic Bloom Red, a fantastic reblooming shrub that the hummingbirds will absolutely go crazy over. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so we're going to get ready to plant, and we are standing in our front yard and putting on my garden gloves because I'm a good firm believer in protecting your hands, so I love these gloves. Alright, now the thing about Weigela is it is a fantastic shrub. It is hardy in zones 4 through 8, so you can tell that it is especially cold hardy. In North Carolina where we are a zone 7B. It's very, very close to a zone 8, which is at the tip of this Weigela's hardiness zone. So we do not have to even be the slightest bit concerned here in the south about it getting too cold in the winter. What we have to worry about is that it gets too hot in the summer and the plant gets stressed. So when we first bought these plants at the nursery, they're a gorgeous, great plant. They put on beautiful blooms. The hummingbirds love them, but we quickly found out in that summer that it gets really hot. So in full disclosure, this is gonna be kind of a little bit of an experiment of us planting these Weigela in our yard to see how they do and how they thrive. I believe that they're gonna do fantastic, and I'll tell you why. This particular section of our garden is in the front of our house. It gets a ton of that early morning sun up until lunchtime, early afternoon. But it gets a wonderful break from that blazing hot afternoon sun because of all the trees along the creek bank. So those trees are very mature and they're high, and they're gonna put these Weigela in the shade in the afternoon. Also, this area is not have irrigation, so there's no irrigation here, but it is at the bottom of our yard, which has a pretty good slope, so any kind of rain, the geese are coming in. It's March. Spring is coming, because can you see them? Okay, you never know what's going to happen here. Then we're open for everything. So it's going to get a lot of good runoff from the irrigation system from the lawn and when it rains. So I think that's why it's going to work great here, but we will keep you posted, and we will certainly do a follow-up video later on in the heat of the summer to just tell you how they're going to do. Weigela is also a great alternative for my northern gardener friends who are unable to grow azaleas. Here in the south, azaleas are just iconic. We love our azaleas. But unfortunately, azaleas are only cold hardy up to zone 6. With the Weigela being cold hardy up to zone 4, I mean, that's close to Canada. I mean, that is really cold. So you can get these great, pretty blooms. Yes, it's different than an azalea, but you still get a great bloom throughout the season. Weigela is going to bloom, put its first blooms on in the spring. Then it will continue to put on blooms throughout the season. So that is with the Sonic Bloom Red. So that is a repeat bloomer. Also, they're going to grow to be about 4 to 5 feet tall and wide. So here you can see we're in a nice big open area. We have got plenty of room for these guys just to spread out and grow. If you need to prune them, it is best to prune them immediately after their first flush of blooms in the springtime. Because Weigela bloom on both old growth and new growth, I don't want to prune it right now. I've already got some new foliage coming out, but if I were to prune it back right now, and it's a little gangly, it needs to be shaped up a little bit. But if I prune it right now, I'm going to cut off all my first blooms, and that just delays my blooming. So I'm going to wait, let it bloom, probably April and May. Then I will just trim it up, shape it up, and then as it puts on new growth, it will bloom later on in the season. So let's get planting. All right, so my sweet husband, Jerry, was very kind enough to use the machinery to go ahead and dig my holes for me. These are 3-gallon shrubs, so they are nice, well-established shrubs. I have got a nice hole here, and as a little rule, if you just have your standard garden shovel, okay? So if you put it up to your pot, you'll see that the shovel is about the same height as the pot, okay? So the shovel is the same height as the pot. It's a great way to use it as like a little measurement in your hole. You do not want your hole deeper than the pot is tall. In fact, for us in the South, especially with this red clay, we want it to be, the shrub to be raised up just a little bit above ground level. So you can kind of judge it. Yep, that's a good depth. Now, another key thing in planting shrubs, really any kind of plant, whether it's a tree, it's a shrub, perennial, or annual, when you're putting it in the ground, your roots are a major deal, like a really big deal, because if you don't have good root system, then your plant is going to suffer big time. So we really like using Espoma's Biotone starter fertilizer. This fertilizer is just for the roots. It is not for foliar growth or to put on blooms. It is to develop the root system. It actually has good bacteria. Bacteria, remember, can be a good thing. This has mycorrhiza in it, and that is a good bacteria to put in your soil, something that you want to promote. Use your soil as another gardener. You know, use what you got. So there's a hole in this bag, so we're going to turn it around. And on the back of the bag, it has exactly how much you should put in there. You know, I'm of the mindset of, just zhuzh it a little bit. It'll all be good. All right, so got the starter fertilizer in there, gloves back on, and we're going to get planting. So it'll be interesting to see what the roots look like on this guy because it has been in the pot for a while. So it's okay to beat it. Not bad. Now, look in here. If you can see, this hole's a little deep because the top, get the pine needles out of the way here, the top of the shrub is even, and I would say even, maybe even sunk a little bit too far below ground level. So I'm going to gently pull her back out, put some dirt back on it, and it's okay that it goes on top of the fertilizer. Don't worry about that too much. We're going to put her back. That's better. And then here we go. Make sure when you're planting it that you don't want to put too much soil up around the top, the base of the trunk of the shrub, because we don't want to smother it. So there we go. So we've got the extra dirt left over from the hole. We'll try to put as much as we can back into a bucket. That way we can use it somewhere else and it doesn't dirty up my pretty mulch. We actually had the kids do this. So the oldest and the youngest were looking to earn some money around the house. So we said, hey, that front bed with the crepe myrtles and the daylilies needs to be mulched. Who wants to earn some money? And I have to say, they actually did a very good job. I was very impressed. It took them a couple of days to do it because this is a large bed. So they're not going to be happy with me if I mess up their mulch job. So Mama will do the best she can do to clean it up, because you don't need an angry 15-year-old with you. All right, so do the best we can. Bring our mulch back. Mulch is great. We love mulch because mulch will decompose over time. It adds nutrients back to the soil as it composts down, and it really holds your moisture better. So in the summertime, that's a big deal. retain as much moisture as we can in our flower beds, in our gardening beds. A lot of times in the South, people will use pine needles. I understand that because pine needles are absolutely gorgeous when they're freshly put out, but unfortunately they don't stay that way. They turn really quickly and being in the sun. There's nothing prettier than fresh pine needles in the South, but really long-term mulch is the absolute best, especially for this Weigela, because a nice thick layer of mulch around it is going to help regulate the root system as far as the temperature goes. So thick mulch is like, think of it as an insulating blanket for your roots of your shrub. So if you have these really crazy dips in temperatures, it just kind of keeps it at an even keel, and the plant really responds well to it. Even if you're putting annuals in a pot, I always put mulch there and it does a great job. All right, so 1 down and 4 to go. All right, all the Weigela are planted and they are happy in their new home. I did forget to tell you, so we are planting these. This is early March in North Carolina that we're planting these. It's really going to depend on where you are in the country as to the best time to plant these shrubs. Of course, the two main perfect times to plant shrubs are in the fall and in the late winter, early spring. I could have easily have done this in the fall, but honestly the idea didn't come to me till this winter. So because we are in North Carolina and we are in a much warmer climate zone than our northern friends, this is a great time for me to go ahead and plant these. You can see that it already had new growth on it. We are not gonna get crazy cold temperatures. I mean, maybe in the 20s. They are perfectly fine to go in the ground now. You'll notice I also did not water these when I put them into the ground. Again, winters in North Carolina are infamously wet. In fact, it's going to be raining tonight and over the next couple of days. So the ground was nice and moist when I put them in. There's no need to go ahead and water them in now. Obviously, if you're planting in a warmer, drier time of the year, you want to really flood that hole with water before you put the shrub in so that the plant is not stressed. This is going to be a really pretty area of our garden with these gorgeous red tubular blooms on it. It's underneath our white crepe myrtles. This whole bed is lined with gorgeous, iconic southern yellow daylilies. We have hummingbirds all over our garden, so they are going to be so appreciative of these new additions in the garden that they can come and feast on this summer. And in fact, I imagine we're going to have quite a few hummingbird wars down here this summer. So we're really excited about this area. It's an ever-changing area. If you remember, if you're part of our social media family, that a couple of weeks ago we had just horrible torrential rains, and this was an area where we had a kind of a mini flood situation going on, and we lost some mulch. So we'll come back in here and shore it up with some fresh mulch, just tidy things up before this growing season really gets going. But thank you so much for gardening with Creekside. We hope you have a fantastic week. Make sure to like this video, share the video, sharing is caring. And if you're not a subscriber, please join the Gardening with Creekside family. Have a great day, guys. Bye. Has arrived. No crepe murder here, people. Get in position.
Oh, it's still taping.
I know it's still taping. That's all right. The gardening can begin.